As Vera was speaking about God being the dark night of the soul, of God being our heartache, our struggle, of God being everything which is difficult in the world. But it's not that evolution stops at that which is difficult. The difficulty is it's an invitation to open into something greater, to open into something extraordinary. And so for an individual, to walk this path that I'm speaking of, it's not solely about individual freedom. And so many people come to me and they say, Craig, has suffering ended within you? And it's such an egotistical question. Because if we're truly going to be on this spiritual path, it's not about ending suffering for ourselves. If it was, that would be such an egotistical endeavor. All I want is to free myself from my own suffering. For what sake? For what purpose? So that I can have a greater life? If we truly understand the teachings of non-duality, we wake up and realize that we are one with everything. We are one with all suffering. All suffering. If we truly want to wake up, it's not about me feeling better. How arrogant is that? Me feeling better. If you truly believe in oneness, if you truly experience oneness, your suffering never ends. Because if you haven't noticed, this world is suffering. This world is living in tremendous pain and sorrow. The enlightenment that Sri Aurobindo was speaking about was this eternal yes. An eternal yes to everything, all experiences. Not just the experience of bliss and opening to bliss, but the experience of opening to evolution in the form of your life, in the form of all life. And so if any of you study yoga, you'll notice that yoga oftentimes it has a path. And the path is to get to some state. Whether it's cosmic consciousness, kundalini awakening, this bliss state, this form of samadhi. It's all about the individual's experience of liberation. But how can the individual truly be liberated if we are connected to the whole? How is it possible for me to be free and someone else not? It's that willingness to open to this experience of freedom and to allow it to pour down into one. And allow this freedom to happen on the level of our nature. Not necessarily on the level of our individuality. And again, individual freedom is quite extraordinary. Quite extraordinary. But a true integral yoga is opening to freedom on every level of our being. And every level of our being is connected to every level of life. And so this liberation, it requires someone who is truly willing not only to open the head, the heart, the gut, as most non-dual teachers teach, but to open every aspect of ourself, every aspect of our humanity, down to the very matter of our human form. In a sense, it's very much like the Christian tradition. And the reason I think I resonated so deeply with these teachings that Sri Aurobindo brought forth was because when I came into this world, there was a natural openness to the divine. As a child, there was this part of me that would just naturally look to God and open my heart to this descent of grace, to this descent of love, to this descent of greater divinity. And so sometimes when I teach in the non-dual tradition, and I speak about opening to God's grace, allowing it to pour through you, to move through your being. And sometimes people will say to me, well, isn't that opening to a temporary state? I say, yes, it's opening to a temporary state if it's something you do once in the form of a prayer in a very needy way where you're saying, God, will you please give me something that I want to make my life better? But in the way I'm speaking about opening is, can we open from the depth of our being and call upon God? Say, dear Lord, will you descend into me? Divine Mother, will you come into me and change the very fabric of my being, the very fabric of my nature? So even in this moment, I invite you, to open the crown chakra and just have this gentle sense of, God, will you come into me? I offer myself to you, Lord. Will you meet with me fully? Will you live through me? Will you speak through me? Will you act through me? Will you liberate this one, not for my own sake, but so that I may serve you in all of your forms, in all of your creation? And so again, this isn't just something that we are doing for ourselves, so that we may experience a greater bliss for our own sake. It's inviting God to come down into us and to purify us, to open our hearts fully, so that we may be her instrument here. So that we may go into the light, so that our very nature may be transformed, so that all natures are transformed. Oftentimes when I was young and I used to go to church and they used to talk about, they say, Jesus died on the cross for our sins. It never made any sense to me. I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Jesus died on the cross for our sins. But the way I resonate with that, in a sense, it's opening your heart, opening your body, opening your mind, and allowing God to come down into you and have her way with you fully, so that your very nature may be transformed. That's what Christ did. It's what any great master does, is they open fully to this experience of divinity and allow their very mind, their very nature to be transformed. Not so that they can feel better, so that they can be transformed, so they may become God's light here on earth. And there's that old Christian saying, Jesus suffered so we don't have to. Well, I like looking at it that Jesus led the way. You want to make Jesus do all the work and us sit back and take the results? Life doesn't really work that way. Jesus showed us the way of the ultimate sacrifice. That willingness to sit and open to this descent of grace and allow this grace to change us from the inside out, to transform our very humanity. We look at the state of the earth. Now, I don't think many of us in this room have faith that this political election is going to change our planet. That these leaders will do anything. I think one of the things that is happening is we are beginning to lose faith in the leaders. Because God is asking something greater from us, from all of humanity. God is not asking that Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, makes me smile, lead the world. God is asking now, are we willing to open fully? Are we willing to lead? Not from our ego, not from our spiritual ideals, but are we willing to open our heart, to open our minds, to open our very nature to this greater intelligence, this greater love, this greater compassion? Are we willing to allow that to lead us, to guide us, to live through us? If any of you have been to India, I went to India about 20 years ago. And I sat in Ramana Ashram. I sat with Amachi and all different wonderful and great saints and sages. But if you've been to India, you'll notice it's a country mostly of individuals seeking individual enlightenment. The country's falling apart. We don't need any more people on this planet. Like Vera was speaking about, looking for a bliss bath, just to enjoy our own private bliss world. What our world needs is individuals who are willing to live like Christ, to open themselves fully. And that means, yes, we open to this descent of bliss, this descent of love, this descent of light, but it also means we are willing to open to our humanity, to work with our evolving edge, to work with the places within us where we are angry, where we are violent, where we are divided, to work with the aspects of ourselves. As my teenage daughter often reminds me, she says, "Dad, sometimes you're a jackass." I said, "Yes, that's where I need to work. That's where I need to work." And so it's that willingness, not just to experience the samadhi states, which are so intoxicating, but to invite God into these aspects of ourself, which are angry, which are mean, which are divided, which are in tremendous suffering. Can we allow God's grace to come down into our own private hell worlds and to liberate them with her grace, with her love? So many individuals, they come to me with this tremendous experience of pain. And I say, "Sweetheart, will you open to your pain?" And oftentimes, that's right when they want to get off the phone with me. That's right when they want to leave my office. Can you open to the pain? Can you be courageous and allow this light to come into and embrace your own suffering? Can you allow your heart to wake up and meet your own insanity? Or that edge where you think you're going to fall to pieces. There's so many individuals say, "I'm going to fall apart." Can you step into that place where it feels as if the ground is literally falling out from under you? And invite God into that. If we want to change the world, if we truly want to be liberated, we must become great friends with fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, rage. We must open from a place of humility, a childlike humility. Say, God, will you come here? Will you sit with me and show me I'm not falling apart? Will you allow your heart to light up my heart? Will you allow your beauty to come into me and open my beauty to this world? And so very much the path of integral yoga is a path of total surrender and total openness to this absolute divinity. And it's quite an interesting thing when I work with people. They have no thought of opening to God, no thought of opening to grace. It's such an interesting thing to me. It's like, who wouldn't want to open to the love of the universe? Someone told me the other day, one of my students, I'm afraid to open to God's grace because the last time I opened, something tragic happened. I said, oh yes, you learned who the boss of this world is. But are you willing to open again and see that the boss is a kind and loving and compassionate boss? But we have to be humble and admit that this boss has a different intelligence than our intelligence. In our mind, we think we know how God should be, how God shall work. But it's a supreme arrogance when we think that we know what God shall be doing in our life or in the lives of others. And so it takes a humility, a deep surrender and willingness to say yes. Yes, Lord, I will open to you. I will open to your intelligence. You show me the way. Come into my heart and flood me with your light, with your grace, with your love. Help me to embrace these aspects of myself which I reject. Help me to embrace my wife, my ex-wife, my husband, my ex-husband, my father, my brother, the people who I've fought with. Help me to open to your truth, your intelligence, your compassion. So it's this willingness to continually have the door open between our humanity and our divinity. And I'd like to think of two divinities. There's the divinity of our true nature, which most non-dual teachers speak of that's waking up to your true nature, to realizing yourself as this vast, spacious emptiness, opening up to the goodness and the intelligence of your heart, opening up to the indestructible power and freedom of the Hara. But beyond that, the invitation is to open up to God herself and say, Dear Lord, will you enlighten this humanity? May I keep the door eternally open to you. Oftentimes when I'm meeting with an individual, a little angel will come forward and tap me on the shoulder and say, Craig, they have no idea I'm here for them. No idea. Sometimes I almost feel as if God is crying because we as humans are so damn arrogant that we've stopped asking for her help. How arrogant is that of us? one day I was sitting with my teacher, and he was guiding me, into one of these heaven worlds. And he said, "What do you see there, Craig?" And I saw 1,000 angels to my right and 1,000 angels to my left. And it broke my heart that there is so many divine beings which want to help us. But so many of us humans, we're so busy, lost in thought, lost in mind, lost in our own arrogance, we don't even ask for this help. We don't open our hearts to the supreme divinity, the supreme love that is available to us. But can we be so humble to open in this way? Can we say yes? Yes, God. 1 minute. Yes, God. Come into me and flood me with your light, with your grace. And so one of the things I may leave you with is something I often have my students do. It's just this sense of, in the morning when you get up, can we open the crown chakra? Can we open the heart chakra? Can we make sure our throat chakra is open and not closed? And just gently invite God in. Lord, will you speak through me? Will you act through me? Will you live through me? And this is not just some prayer where God comes into you, just gently whispers the right thing to say in your ear. That may be wonderful. But what I'm speaking about is ongoing communion with grace. Ongoing. No stop. In fact, if I am not feeling God's grace flooding my body, then I know there's something wrong within me. I'm believing some story in my mind. I'm lost in some argument. What do we have within us? The internal critic, the internal lawyer. With me, it's the internal jackass or screw off or whatever it is. So if I'm not feeling flooded with grace, then I know it's time for me to open again. To open again. So I invite you all to play with this. Just this willingness to continually open to God's love in your life. And see what happens. See what happens. Thank you all so much. It's been my absolute honor to sit here with you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.